So I'm building a flagstone patio, a gazebo, and a fire pit. I've chosen this area right off of my deck to make that happen. I'm going to need the help of my family and my tractor. I'm going to remove the overburden from the area, and then I'm going to check the basic design and layout and make sure that's what I want. You can see the area is pretty flat, which is very conducive to a patio. And you want to make sure that you're able to get down to a spot in the soil where you can compact it so you don't have a lot of movement. Then I'm right here, I'm deciding where I want to put the fire pit. And once I have decided on that spot, I'm going to put a stake in the ground and then make a circle in which I'm going to drill up for my gazebo post. You can see the blue chalk on the ground where I made a circle. There's a 12-foot circle. And I'm going to divide that by 5. So for each post, they'll be 72 degrees apart, about 2.5, 3 feet deep. Is the 10-foot post I'm working with. There's a pin in the middle, which is the center of my fire pit. You really want to face your post in to the center of the fire pit. The design will come out correctly. I've laid down plastic, 6 mil plastic. I've laid down 2 inches of 5/8 rock. And I compacted that down, and then I compacted down the sand, and I basically check it out and make sure it's flat or it's draining in the correct dimensions or correct directions. As we put the stone down, we're going to leave a gap, and the gap is going to help us in a few ways. As these are natural stones, they're not all the same thickness, so having a gap between them is going to let us keep from having tripping hazards. We can make adjustments with the grout. It also, because they are natural stones, they're not going to lock together like pavers, so the gap is going to allow the ones to fit together better. And as you can see, we're going to pick some stones up, put them down, and then move them again as we look at it to see if this is the design that we want to go with. Most importantly is that we don't want to cut the stones. We want them to just be as natural as possible. It'll give us the aesthetic that we're looking for. And you can see it takes more than one person because of the size of these stones can be quite big. You want to leave the small stones off to the side and use them as fillers when you're needed. That helps because, as you can see, some of them have long straight lines, and then you have to match them to or take up the gap to the next one. Some of them are circular, lots of different patterns going on. Keep checking your work, making sure that you're not creating a tripping hazard. If you do have a bump or where the stones aren't flat, you can use a 4-inch die grinder to take that spot off. That's what I did in a couple seconds, and it works quite well. We're working from the house out towards the fire pit because the most important feature is that how it matches up to the deck. And you'll see that later on in the video. So we're almost at the gazebo now, and so now we got to start working around the posts. So we have to start thinking about that a few feet in front of the post, and we want to check to make sure everything's level and going in the right direction. And you can kind of see how it fits up against the deck at this point, and how we're looking at it, having discussions about the design features of the stone. We have all our stones in place, we have our fire pit in place, and then we want to grout it. I'm just using Portland cement, sand, and water. I didn't want to use any rocks in there. Once I get that all done, and it's been sitting for a while, I'm going to etch it with a muriatic acid and water mixture, and that will take all of the grayness of the top layer of the mortar off of the stone, so it'll expose it, be really nice shiny. You'll see that as it gets wet. You want to wear a respirator for sure. The muriatic acid will make a gas. Now these are pressure treated posts, and now we're going to wrap them with cedar. I'm using fence boards, or 8-foot fence boards, and I wrapped the entire structure including the roof with cedar, and I'm going to put a galvanized roof on. The galvanized comes very shiny, so I'm etching it with toilet bowl cleaner, which will make it aged, give it a burned look or a dull look, and when it touches other surfaces while it's wet, it will you'll have some rusty looking spots. So make it nice and aged. Start from the center and work your way out to the left and to the right. That way you're using the long pieces, and when you cut a piece off, you're going to use the shorter pieces as you go down the roof line. And you can see how they match up to one another. You want to try and get some things to match as good, as nice as possible. And then I'm going to stain it. I chose to stain it after the roof was done. I'm just putting a light stain on it so it does not gray. And I've added some solar lights to it. Will work off of a remote, and they're LED, so they last for hours, once you're out there. And here you can see that I've also added what I'll call a privacy wall or a feature wall, and it has a gap on the bottom. Even though the galvanized has been aged, it still reflects light, so it adds nice ambiance to the area. The wall helps with storing chairs and a table out there in case rain and winds come around when we're not out there, so we store furniture against that wall. I really enjoy having that feature. It also retains a little bit of heat, so we sit on that side more. But we have to have the other walls open, so we have the correct ventilation. Well, I hope you enjoy watching the video. Good luck with your project if you choose to make one.